Hey, what's up everybody, this is Charleston and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Now today, what we're going to get into today in this segment is something that no one in the media is going to touch. No one. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that are going to agree with the majority of the things that we're going to discuss in this particular video today. For the last 10 years, all we have heard from various voices in the media and some fans is how LeBron stacks up to Jordan. And some of you guys may be listening to this, but why is he doing? The reason I'm doing this is because we have to inject a voice of reasoning and truth into sports media. There's been a lot of just a bunch of agendas and all. We have to inject some sense into this. The majority of the bigger voices out there are going to be giving you one form of information, and we have to provide a counterbalance to this. This is why we're doing this, right? You just can't be hearing everything you want to hear. And for the longest time, all we've heard about is how LeBron stacks up to Jordan. And in my opinion, I think it's just a media invention that is centered on smoke and mirrors. A bunch of just hocus pocus. And it has really nothing to do with substance and facts. I've always said, no superstar, I think we're the first ones on the internet that is really saying this, no superstar has had more help than LeBron James. Of all the NBA players in NBA history, if we're talking about top of the shelf, top 10, top 20 NBA players, no one in the history of basketball has had more help over the course of their careers than one LeBron James. No one has. If you go and compile all of the total all-star appearances of the all-stars that he's played with over the course of his career, you would get something like over 70 combined all-star appearances. Think about that. For somebody that they say has had no help, that's faced the most competition without even mentioning the fact that he's had the most help. If you compare that to Jordan, over the course of his 14-year career, and I think over his tenure with the Chicago Bulls, Jordan has played with a combined total of all-star appearances on his team of only 10. And I think the failure that the Lakers are experiencing right now will ultimately put a dent in the legacy of LeBron James when we're comparing him to Jordan. Am I saying LeBron James is not going to be in the Hall of Fame? That would be absurd. Obviously, I have him in my top 5 to be quite honest with you. However, he is not the GOAT and he's not compared to Jordan. There are levels to it all. You just can't take your favorite player and just throw him up there and say, okay, no, he's not. If we're going off of facts, I think these failures that the Lakers are having is going to leave a mark. Do you know why? Because if the Lakers won, or if they were winning, he would be getting all the credit. You can't have it both ways. You can't have a scenario in which, if the Lakers are winning, this guy is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But if they're losing, no one wants to talk about it. It cannot happen that way. It has gotten so bad. The situation with the Lakers is deteriorated to the point where now the greatest Laker, who some consider to be the greatest Laker, and probably the greatest personality, and one of the greatest personalities in sports history, and Magic Johnson is finally coming out to call out the Los Angeles Lakers. And we got his tweets. We're reading this here from yahoo.com, yahoosports.com. And essentially what Magic Johnson said, I'm going to read his tweets. He says, after being blown out by the Nuggets 133-96, we as Laker fans can accept being outplayed, but we deserve more than a lack of effort and no sense of urgency. Owner Jeannie Buss, you deserve better, which prompted LeBron to put out a tweet saying, Laker Nation, be patient with us, and this and this and this. And then Russell Westbrook, they're out there saying whatever they're saying. Right? That's what they said. For the simple fact that LeBron at the beginning of this season was talking all that trash. No one talks more trash than LeBron and never backs it up. No one does. The storm is coming. It was a light drizzle. This year they're talking about, oh, you're calling us old and blah 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 blah. You guys are making fun of it. We're old. We'll show you blah blah blah. And look what happened. And look where we are. calling out everybody for having an opinion on you and your team. And look where we are right now, making statements like the Wash King and all of these different things, talking all of this junk. Like LeBron fans, they just talk and talk with no substance, nothing to back it up. They just throw it out there. After talking all of that, as we currently speak, the Lakers find themselves one game under 500 with a 21-22 record in the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. And now the situation is degenerated to the point where now it's no longer about winning. At the beginning of the season, most people picked this team to come out of the Western Conference. It is now degenerated to the point where now we're talking about individual achievements. Now Nick Wright and all of these guys are talking about, but what's getting lost in all of this is, do you see the numbers he's putting up at the age of 37 years old? That's what wild. That's what's being lost. This is what the situation has turned into. While LeBron is averaging at the age of 37, 29 points, 7 rebounds, and I think 6 assists, as the 8th seed in the Western Conference that has an injured Kawhi Leonard, an injured Paul George, an injured Jamal Murray, that's not even at their full. Klay Thompson is just coming back from an injury, and a banged up Western Conference. Jordan, at the age of 35 years old, what was he doing? He was averaging 29 points per game, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, and his team won 62 games that year and finished the season with a 62-20 record. Jordan is synonymous with winning. LeBron is synonymous with a loser that wants to be associated with a winner. You don't get to have a 4-6 record in the finals and feel as if you can compare yourself to a guy that is batting 1,000, that is undefeated. That is undefeated. And by the way, that year, Jordan made the all-first NBA team. He won the NBA championship. He was the finals MVP, and he made all-first defensive team. At the age of 35, this guy was all-first defense. As we currently speak, LeBron has 3 top 75 players on his roster, 2 in their prime, in Anthony Davis and and Russell Westbrook. Now, Anthony Davis has been in and out, but even when he's been there, he hasn't been able to extract anything from him. And at this current moment, I'm going to speak to Laker fans. What is happening right now is this. LeBron is in the process of, after he retires, of setting your franchise back 5 to 6 years. 5 to 6 years. How do you say this? Number one, he's going to retire. You're going to be left with an injury-prone Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, who most likely will probably finish out his contract or get moved. Then what do you have left? After all of this, what do you have left? That is where the Lakers are heading right now. And at this point, all his zealots in the media want to talk about are his stats at his age. That's all they want to talk about. Instead of talking about how he's grossly underachieving after talking all of that trash going into this season, they want to talk about his stats. This is what they want to do. They want to compare him, and they feel at the end of this year, they're going to compare him to a guy that was perfect in the final. I keep bringing it up. Why? I have never seen Michael Jordan get swept in the NBA Finals 2 times and get blown off the court by a record finals margin. The team that blew out LeBron James by a record finals margin was the same team that the San Antonio Spurs that year were beating on. Yes, they were beating on that team. During the regular season, the San Antonio Spurs were actually outplaying that Golden State Warriors team with Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant on that, if y'all go back and do your history. And throughout that finals run that Nick Wright was talking about, this team was under, the San Antonio Spurs were the only team during that playoffs that had that team down over 20 points. The team that's invincible, Kawhi Leonard was beating that team. They were up like 25 points in the third quarter. And y'all act like a sip. How can they be so invincible when Kawhi Leonard and these guys were beating them. And had he not got injured, they would have probably beat them. And that series would have probably been different. It would have probably been different. And this is the reason why. See, people feel as if I hate LeBron and his supporters. I don't hate them. What I take issue with them is them trying to forcefully inject themselves into a conversation they have no business being in. That is my issue. No one is arguing whether or not LeBron is great or not. Is when you try to compare him to Jordan is when you lose me. Is when you guys lose me. You take it too far. It enters into the realm of delusion. Who in their right mind would look at these two guys, if you didn't know their names, and compare their career accomplishments, and one guy will be saying, this guy is better than... Who would say that? Except these people. So to me, I think this is number one, going to put a stain on his legacy, because if he won, it was oh wow, this guy is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Y'all were ready to call him the GOAT after he won his 3rd championship. So can you imagine if he won his 6th one, his 5th one? No, it's going to put a dent on his legacy. And this Laker team is an embarrassment, and he is part of that embarrassment. He is part of it. You know why? Because he assembled the team that's stinking up the entire plate. He's the one that assembled it. Yes. So this entire Jordan debate, I think, should not even be happening in the first place. Y'all can find somebody else. Y'all can find somebody else. It makes no sense that at the end of all of this losing, you guys are going to bring out your broom and your vacuums and try to sweep it under the rug again, like as if it never happened. And then at the end of it, you're going to stand up and have the courage with a straight face to talk about, he the GOAT, look, GOAT. You guys be bugging, man. Those are my thoughts and opinions on this. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.